With just over 3 months until November 3rd, President Trump floated the idea of delaying the election. He tweeted yesterday, quote, "With universal mail-in voting, not absentee voting, which is good, 2020 will be the most inaccurate and fraudulent election in history. It will be a great embarrassment to the USA. Delay the election until people can properly, securely, and safely vote? Question mark." Hours later, former President Obama gave a eulogy at Representative John Lewis's funeral in which he appeared to accuse the Trump administration of voter suppression.
There are those in power who are doing their darndest to discourage people from voting by closing polling locations and targeting minorities and students with restrictive ID laws and attacking our voting rights with surgical precision, even undermining the Postal Service in the run-up to an election that's going to be dependent on mail-in ballots so people don't get sick.
Chief Washington correspondent Major Garrett joins us now. Major, good to see you. Let's begin with this. The president's own party leaders rejected this suggestion to delay the election. Give us a reality check here.
Look, the president doesn't have the power. Congress does. That's by order of the Constitution, and states run our elections. This is not going to happen. And when the White House says, oh, the president is only asking a question, grammatically, attaching question marks doesn't change something. That's essentially a declarative statement. Vlad, if I say to you, stand there and let me punch you in the face, and I put 3 question marks after that, that doesn't make it any less menacing. And if you don't want to take my word for it, take the word of a guy named Stephen Calabrese, who is a law professor at Northwestern University. He's also co-founder of the Federalist Society, which has marched in lockstep with the Trump administration on all federal bench appointments and vociferously defended him during impeachment. Stephen Calabrese wrote in the New York Times that that tweet is by itself constitutes grounds for immediate impeachment proceedings and removal from office. He called it fascistic. So just bear that in mind.
So should I read anything into the fact that the president tweeted this, Major, yesterday, just as the news of the economy was coming out, just as we were getting updated COVID-19 numbers? Why is the president raising the issue now?
Because he is in a weakened political position, and he knows that if he creates some doubt by whatever means of the accuracy or the verifiability of this election, and he loses, somehow he's not as directly to blame as he might otherwise be. It is a political tactic, but I tell you, Vlad, for the last 2 weeks, I've been talking to election experts around the country, including 6 different secretaries of state from both parties. And rhetoric like this creates for them a maddening scenario where voters wonder reasonably, what is the president talking about? What are our systems in our state? And these are serious people working hard on serious election issues related to the pandemic, trying to solve them, and the president's tweets do not help them in their mission.
The president also claims mail-in voting is rife with fraud. Yesterday during a briefing, Major, you heard him say he doesn't want to see a crooked election. What are the facts on mail-in voting?
Here's one of my sources, the head of the Federal Department of Homeland Security Election Security Division. He says to me, you know what? Mail-in voting is actually more secure. You know why? Because there's always a paper trail. Machines, that's not always the case. And the president previously has said, well, foreign nations could print ballots by the millions, and that could distort things. Completely false. There are 2 printers in our country. There's a certain weight to mail-in ballots. There's a barcode. The states that use this system understand the weighted paper. The machine's rejected if it's not the right paper. The barcode also matches things up. This is a highly secure way of voting. Are there slowdowns in counting? Yes, there are. And the president, if he wanted to, could help solve this. How? By sending states more federal money to assist them in processing and building out the infrastructure to handle what will inevitably be, in many states, more mail-in balloting than we've previously had.
Major, let me ask you one last question. During his eulogy yesterday for John Lewis, President Obama, former President Obama, called for the Senate to eliminate the filibuster. Explain to our audience what that means and how it could change the makeup of what we see going forward.
So if you're the majority party and you can't find 60 votes, right now in the Senate, you can't move your top legislative priorities. If you eliminate the filibuster and have a simple majority, you can. Democrats now are wondering, is it possible not only potentially to defeat President Trump for re-election, but also take the sufficient number of seats to gain a majority in the Senate? What former President Obama is saying is, if you get the majority, you can entertain this rule change and pass so much of this agenda. Who is hearing that most especially? Progressive Democrats who want to see an activist agenda under the Biden presidency. That is a clarion call to motivate, get out, vote, and see what can happen.
Major Garrett, always great to have you for your reporting and analysis. We thank you, my friend.